Brent Marks and Brad Sweet collect their 4th wins of the year. The Roto-Rooter Midweek Series is a 4-way fight, and a Texas two-step will decide the High Limit Racing season this weekend. It's time for another episode of the High Limit Room. I'm Chase Rodman. Welcome back to the High Limit Room. We are joined later on by Tony Laporta and Brian Walker. Before then, we've got a few things to cover, including some quick race recaps from the Heartland of America showdown at the Lakeside Speedway in Kansas City. That race drew 36 cars on Friday and 37 cars on Saturday, respectively, at the Kansas City Oval that is 0.4 of a mile in distance and usually puts on some spectacular racing like we saw on Saturday night. Now, before Saturday, we had Friday night, which saw Aaron Reitzel collect his 11th Quick Time Award of the season. He has just been completely dominant in that category with the series this year. Cy Lynch topped the charts in Flight B of qualifying on Friday. The heat races, they were won by Chase Randall, Dason Pursley, Brent Marks, and Giovanni Scelzi, with Pursley also winning the dash and starting on the front row of the 25-lap main event. He was flanked by Brent Marks for the start of the race. Pursley, however, would not start there or stay there for very long, as Aaron Reitzel would slice right through the middle on the opening straightaway to take the lead into the opening corner, but off of turn number 2, it was Brent Marks who would fly around the outside of Reitzel and have the lead down the back straightaway. Now, one name that I have not mentioned so far in this little recap is Rico Abreu, who battled a steering box issue all night long and would lose wholesale ground to Aaron Reitzel and Brad Sweet during this feature event in both the owners and the drivers' point standings. You could tell in the dash, you could tell in the heat race, and they finally got it figured out in the feature, but the handling was not good on Rico's 24 car throughout the night. They ended up being late to the staging area for the feature, losing a whole row. It was a tough night, but a night that makes champions, as he was still able to come up with a 9th place run. But as I said, those points got a little bit tighter there at the top of the standings. Then on the track on Friday night was just extremely fast. The track was a little bit wet. It was kind of maybe like 2.5 lanes wide on both ends of the racetrack, making it very difficult to pass, but it sure kept it very interesting when the leaders got to the back of the field, as they were struggling to get by some of those lap cars that were battling for position themselves. In the end, Brent Marks would lead all 25 laps, with Reitzel and Brad Sweet having a spirited battle for the second position, which was not decided until the very last corner of the race when Reitzel went around the outside of Sweet to take it at the line. Behind them, Chase Randall was 4th, and Brenham Crouch rounded out the top 5. The CJB Motorsports car has been hitting on all cylinders here recently. Great to see Crouch have a great weekend at the Lakeside Speedway. Now, moving on to Saturday night for the $15,000 to win Heartland of America showdown. The top 4 from the previous night did not have to qualify per the High Limit Racing rulebook. Landon Crawley, he was not a part of that top 4 from the previous night, but he was able to record his first career High Limit Racing Quick Time Award in the Johnny Herrera Racing number 45X over a very tough field of cars. Crawley's speed continued into the heat race with a heat win over Ryan Timms. He got a heat race win. Rico Abreu and Austin McCarl, they all joined Crawley as heat race winners on Saturday. Now, the B main had one of the most exciting parts of the night, as Joel Myers Jr. stole the final transfer spot away from Dason Pursley with a 3-wide move down the middle, down the front stretch between Pursley and Carson McCarl to move into the A main, knocking Dason Pursley out of the feature after starting on the pole the previous night. Pursley was out of provisionals and did not make the show due to that move from Joel Myers Jr. Excellent action there in the B main on Saturday night. Now, the 30-lap feature was paced by youngsters Ryan Timms and Chase Randall, with Timms carrying the baton early on a track which was completely different, a night and day difference from the track on Friday to the track on Saturday. Extremely wide conditions on Saturday, but the guy to watch in the opening laps of this one was Brad Sweet, as he methodically made his way up through the field and eventually caught up to Ryan Timms, passing him and 2 lap cars at the same time in the same corner in 3 and 4 to take the lead on lap number 11. Just a brilliant move from Brad Sweet, timing it perfectly right around the inside of the track as Timms was on the top and Sammy Swindell and a couple other lap cars were right there. It was the perfect setup for Brad Sweet to take the race lead away on lap 11. Later on, a major moment took place when Chase Randall and Ryan Timms are battling for the the second position. They made contact in turn number 4, which sent Chase Randall into the wall after running in second for a lot of this race. He collected Austin McCarl, and they only had 3 laps to go in the feature, so Randall was just 3 laps away from having a 4th place on Friday and potentially another podium on Saturday, but unfortunately that did not go his way there in that incident between him and Ryan Timms. Sweet would hold up to the pressure on the final restart to claim his first win in exactly 3 months over Ryan Timms, Rico Abreu, Aaron Reitzel, and Brett Marks. The last time Brad Sweet went to victory lane was July 11th at Florence Speedway in Kentucky. His next win on October 11th at the Lakeside Speedway. A 3-month dry spell there for Brad Sweet, but back to victory lane for the defending series champion. Now we'll see if that momentum will carry for Brad Sweet over into Wednesday night's Roto-Rooter Midweek Series finale. It's the final race for $20,000 to win in this mini championship at the Diamond of Dirt Tracks Lucas Oil Speedway. Now when I say $20,000 to win, it's not $20,000 to win the feature. It's $12,000 to win the feature, but $20,000 to win the championship. And right now it's a 4-way fight for this championship. I mean, it has been excellent all year long, and we come down to one of the best tracks on the schedule. Rico Abreu currently leads the championship standings by just 6 points over Tanner Thorson, 9 over Brad Sweet, and Aaron Reitzel is just 12 behind Abreu going into this final race of this Roto-Rooter Midweek Series. You are not going to want to miss this action. Last year, the Roto-Rooter Midweek Series came down to a tiebreaker between Tyler Courtney and Brad Sweet. We could very well see another tie happen in this year's finale as well. Grab your tickets right now by going to highlimitracing.com or dial up FloRacing at 6 p.m. Central Time for the live broadcast. And just a reminder, in 5 High Limit Racing events at Lucas Oil Speedway, we have never seen a driver lead all of the laps of the main event. There's been 2 leaders, 3 leaders, 4 leaders. It is one of the best tracks we go to every single year, and we are looking forward to seeing who comes out on top in that Roto-Rooter Midweek Series finale on Wednesday night. Then, just 2 days later, we begin the final weekend of racing in 2025 with High Limit Racing at the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track. Earlier this year, we made a stop into the Fort Worth facility and saw Brett Marks and Rico Abreu pick up victories. And speaking of Rico, we know he is going to have to be on his A game because as of this recording prior to Lucas Oil Speedway, he only has a slim 20-point advantage over the Ridge & Sons Racing 87 in the owner's point standings and a 30-point lead over Brad Sweet in the driver's standings as he looks to end the dominance of 6 years for Brad Sweet here in 2025. Let us know in the comments below if you think he is going to be able to hold on to get that championship, or do you think Brad Sweet gets him, or do you think Reitzel gets him? Let us know in the comments. It is the Bikini Zone All-In Championship weekend at the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track. We cannot wait to get over there and crown a champion for 2025. Now, in this week's middle segment of the show, Tony Laporta is able to catch up with Jake Argo, the crew chief of the Clauson Marshall Racing 7 BC. He discusses how the season's gone so far, what he's expecting for the upcoming races, and what it's been like working with a new driver this year in the absence of Tyler Courtney, what it's been like working with Giovanni Scelzi. Here is Jake Argo.
So we got a little bit of downtime here on the road, hashtag life on the road. I used to put that on my social media posts when I was going to like 50 go-kart races a year, and I was a big deal. Jake Argo has got his beautiful Clauson Marshall NOS Energy Drink 7 BC rig parked here in Shawnee, Kansas, because we just got done racing for 2 nights at Lakeside Speedway. Look at Brian Walker getting the background, giving us context. This is why he's the best in the business. We're in your guys' hotel parking lot at the Hampton Inn, so with a little bit of downtime, what does a team, what does the crew do to kind of kill the days between the last race and the next race?
Like on a deal like this where we race on Wednesday, so we got, a few days to kill. So you kind of look at stuff like it was kind of supposed to rain today, so we just worked most of the day yesterday and got everything about 90% done, for Wednesday, and kind of just enjoyed a little bit of an off day today. So
you're in a great spot here. The Hampton Inn is where you guys lay your heads down at night, but you've got the B&B theaters. I'm sure Ron's been just catching piece of cinematic work after piece of cinematic work. You got a Jose Peppers over there, and so there's plenty to do in just this small little ecosystem of the parking lot, and maintenance yesterday getting done, so today's kind of just a relaxed day for you.
Yeah, pretty much just catch up on, been like watching a lot of video and stuff today, and of different races, and then Wheatland and Texas coming up, and Lakeside, from over the weekend, and kind of getting some off-season stuff kind of lined out. Talked on the phone with, the engine builder, Eric, for 20 minutes today about some stuff, and just But yeah, no, it was a good little spot. Yeah, you know, you always look for, when you do hotels and stuff, you always look for a big enough parking lot, and then, you know, whatever restaurants are close and things like that. 'Cause, you know, you're kind of stuck in a spot, you know, for a few days. So.
Well, you brought up you just said something very interesting there, and I do want to ask you a question after that, because Brian just gave us the full body shot of the trailer here. Your tractor's missing, but we'll get into that in a moment.
Yeah.
I want to hit on something you said, and that is that you were just in there watching video, and you talked about Wheatland is coming up Wednesday night, and then Fort Worth at Texas Motor Speedway. I've never heard that. The drivers always talk about, going to a new track, I watch a video, I learn about it. But you, the crew chief, you guys watch a video as well on upcoming races?
Yeah, no, we try to take advantage of any kind of resources we can, really. So yeah, just kind of being prepared, you know, even whenever it comes down to like communicating with the driver for qualifying and stuff like that, kind of seeing trends, you know, like maybe they're running the top and then halfway through it moves down a little bit, stuff like that. Anything you can get an edge, anything you can do to get an edge on anybody, you know.
Wow,
so.
It makes total sense.
Yeah.
And you probably would assume it. I'm not very smart. Most people know that. Okay, so now where is your tractor? Because your trailer's sitting here with nothing to pull it.
No, we just had a little issue with the AC, and there was a Peterbilt place 3 miles up the road, so we just dropped it off there yesterday. I think it'll be done first thing in the morning. So yeah, just little things you got to deal with when you're traveling.
Bobby's always making things hot inside the tractor, isn't he? I bet.
Yeah, him and Ron, they make things pretty hot. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad you said it and not me. And then when you're sitting there and you're watching video, you know, is it as in depth as like having the notebook from that race you're watching and having your notes out in front of you to look at things like temperature and notes you did on the setup, or is it pretty much just pull it up on Flow and take a look at it?
Yeah. No, it's just pulling it up on Flow and kind of like. I just kind of like, you got to like suss it out, you know, like you watch obviously our qualifying lap, and then you look at, you know, the fastest qualifiers laps and kind of just see what we did right, what we did wrong, and kind of trends in the heat races, kind of where they're running and how much grip the track has and things like that. And then obviously, you know, we'll just sit there and watch the whole feature and kind of dissect things. And, you know, we all kind of do it as a team if we can, but obviously, you know, Gio and Tyler, they're in Iowa and we're here and stuff like that. So that makes it a little bit of a challenge. But like, you know, if we see some stuff on the video that comes up, you know, we might text each other in the group and say, hey, you noticed this or something you noticed, and just try to get a head start on it. That way, you know, you get to the track and it's game time, you know.
That's really interesting. I definitely didn't know. I mean, I guess you assume it, but you never really think about it. And the fact that you guys sit down and you do it as a team and you're communicating with your drivers, I think that's really informational and just kind of interesting to me. And then wrapping up here before we get out of here and let you get back to enjoying that really sharp-looking Hampton Inn. Hopefully they're nicer to you in there than they are to us over at the Comfort Suites here in Shawnee. Do not recommend at all. We'll go into that on my blog later. Just a little bit more about you. Growing up Southern California, right? So what was your major influence? Who first put a wrench in your hand, and who let you kind of find out this was a path you wanted to go down?
That's a good question. Yeah, no, pretty much owe everything to my grandfather, who raised me since I was 3. He was involved in sprint cars at Ascot, owned cars, worked on them. You know, at that point, everybody just did everything they could to get the cars to the track and run races. And then his son, would be my uncle Rodney, they ran a car for 15, 20 years out there, and we ran through the Midwest, you know, a couple times, but yeah, so just growing up around the sprint car culture, you know, there, and then, you know, after Ascot closed, it kind of left a little bit of a void there.
Yeah.
And then Paris came along, and so that was 96 was when Paris opened. So we did a lot of, you know, Paris was 2-3 times a month. Manzanita, Ventura, Santa Maria, we go to Hanford and stuff like that, and just owe it all to him, really.
That's cool. Well, Jake, always do enjoy stopping and talking to you, whether it's in the pits at the racetrack or out here in the Hampton Inn and the joint B&B theaters. I wonder what B&B stands for. Any ideas?
I don't know about that.
The B and the B?
No, I'm just glad that we don't have a note on the trailer telling us to move it or something like that yet. So
very strategic. Jake did point out to us he backed this thing right up against that's probably like a Douglas fir, maybe an oak or something. Because if someone was going to try to get into it, they're going to have to deal with that tree first.
Yeah, you
so
got to be strategic about some stuff,
Hey, always thinking up here. Jake Argo, his mind, it's like a steel trap. So thanks for talking to us. And this will be the last in-season episode of the High Limit Room. So thanks for being our last guest.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Jake Argo, crew chief on the 7BC with Tyler Courtney and Giovanni Scelzi this year.
All right, jumping into the third segment of this week's High Limit Room episode, we are joined now by Tony Laporta and Brian Walker. Tony is in room 106 here at the Comfort Inn and Suites. I'm in room 103, and Tony kicked Brian out, so Brian's actually in the parking lot of the Comfort Suites right now as we're getting ourselves ready for Lucas Oil Speedway on Wednesday night. Before we get into some of that and some of the stuff from this weekend, nxtbets.com/playhlr. We'd like to mention that at the top of this segment every single week. And we had two guys win races this weekend, Brent Marks and Brad Sweet, of course, both of them getting their fourth wins of the season. Brian, what were their odds going into the night? I know Brad's were usually around 300 or 400, but Brent was probably pretty high, I'd have to think, going into the weekend.
I don't have it pulled up off the top. I did not get kicked out by Tony. I got kicked out by the awesome staff here at the Comfort Inn in Shawnee, Kansas, which I don't recommend staying at. So I don't have it pulled up right now. I got flustered and had to go to the car at the last minute. But yeah, Brad Sweet was a favorite, and I'm sure Brent Marks was not that much of an underdog.
Well, I'm going to try and look it up here real quick. That was good.
That's all I got for you.
Brett Marks was 1,900 going into the weekend. So,
honestly kind of crazy.
You could have made some good money on him.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised on that one as well. So, and then we're going into Lucas Oil Speedway this weekend, and we've seen quite a few guys win races there over the 5 races we've had in High Limit Racing's history. You think Brad Sweet's won one, Aaron Reitzel's won one, Tyler Courtney, Rico. And so there's a lot of guys you could probably pick to win a race or to win the race at Lucas Oil on Wednesday night. Make sure to go to nxtbets.com/playhlr. Check out what the odds are. We don't have them quite yet for that race, but hopefully they'll be coming out here soon. So let's jump into the racing from this weekend. 2 nights at Lakeside for the Heartland of America Showdown. As I mentioned earlier on, Brent Marks, Brad Sweet, both getting their 4th wins of the year. But more importantly, for Brad Sweet, ending a 3-month dry spell to the day. July 11th at Florence was the last time he won, and he gets back to victory lane on October 11th. Crazy to think that it had been that long, Tony, for Brad to get back to victory lane.
Yeah, it is, but it's also kind of not that crazy, and he'll be the first one to talk about it. He has talked about it in several interviews across different outlets in the sport. He brings it up on our broadcast every once in a while that, these are his words. He's told you, he's told me several times. He's surprised they're even in a championship fight with how they run this year. And again, those are Brad's words, not ours. And when you look at the fact that it was 3 months since his last victory, okay, it's a little bit easier to be critical of them when the driver of the car is being critical, right? But look at the year they've had. I mean, you start out by Eric Pretzman moving to the 9. Then Eric Pretzman leaves Casey Kane Racing. Ty Wolfgang takes over. They don't make it through the summer. Ty ends up exiting stage right and leaving Casey Kane Racing. And now it's kind of just a community crew chief over there, between Casey, between Tate, between Andrew Bowman, and then of course Brad's going to be involved in some decisions. So according to the driver of the 49, yeah, I mean it was kind of surprising that it had been that long of a win, but also not that surprising because with all the personnel changes and just the way and how tough National 410 Racing is. Yeah, I mean, when you don't have a consistent group working on the car and calling the shots and being a cohesive unit, you're going to struggle to get back to victory lane in any major sprint car series. So Brad's the first one to talk about that. I thought Brian got a really cool interview. If folks haven't watched that, go look it up after the checkers on Saturday night. Brian Walker talked to Casey Kane, and I thought it was a great interview. It was cool to see Casey. I mentioned it in the Whiskey Myers victory lane interview. Maybe Casey Kane's first National 410 win as a crew chief, even though they kind of passed that term around. But it was also Andrew Bowman's first high limit win, and it was Tate Williamson's first high limit win and trip to Whiskey Myers victory lane. So, yeah, really, really big breakthrough win, not just for Brad to get back up on the saddle, but every member of that crew. It was their first trip to Whiskey Myers victory lane in their respective roles. That definitely deserves mentioning, I think.
Yeah, and he did it from the 4th starting position, ending that 3-month dry spell. Might have been a 3-month dry spell for the Durst Dice Roll as well, as that was claimed on Saturday as Brad started 4th, got up through there, and picked up the $2,500 for the race fan, an extra $2,500 for him. Brent Marks basically dominated his race on Friday night, but some of the things that happened throughout the weekend, the one that really sticks out to me was on Saturday. And Brian, normally you tell us you're not able to watch the B main, but I'm sure you saw the replay on Flow. 3 wide across the line, Joel Myers Jr. knocks Dason Pursley out of the feature. He's out of provisionals, not able to even make the show. But 3 wide across the line between Myers, Pursley, and Carson McCarl. That was some outstanding action prior to the feature on Saturday night.
Yeah, Carini is always quick to remind anyone the B main is the best race of the night half the time. I don't have a chance to see it all the time. I was watching in the trailer on Flow, and then obviously saw the replay many times. That was a heck of a finish. The crazy part is honestly, if Dason, which I'm as good as friends as I am with Dason, I'm very comfortable saying this. If Dason just follows Carson into 3 and 4, I think he transfers. But he makes a decision to slide Carson, and they're 3 wide at the line, and what happens. But it was a heck of a finish, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was very exciting. Another thing that happened in that feature later on after that B main was Ryan Timms, who led the first 10 laps of the feature event, and Chase Randall getting together. 2 good friends came up in the same background, racing micro sprints down in the Oklahoma, Texas area, and kind of all over the Midwest as well. They get together racing for the 2nd spot and ending what was a fantastic weekend overall for the Quickest Chicken. It was 4th on Friday, and then was making that pass for 2nd. Or they were battling for 2nd there in 3 and 4. Timms comes with the racetrack. One fan will say that Chase Randall has a brake pedal. The other fan will say that Ryan Timms, what is he doing? You're going to go back and forth on that. But that was a pretty big moment in the feature, Tony. Happened with just 3 laps to go. And you hated to see that for Chase Randall after, this last couple of races, man. I mean, he might have none of the finishes to show it. Think back to Pat Valley's battling for the win, spins out, and, the other night at Saturday as well. I mean, they have been hitting on all cylinders, but it's fun to watch them here recently.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely hard to watch, and hate that for Chase Randall. His dad, John, either made like a Facebook post or I can't remember what it was on. I saw it on some form of social media, like right before this weekend, where he was like, and maybe it was after Friday night when they ran 4th. I can't remember. But John Randall made some post, and it was like driver and crew chief, finally getting on the same page, and it's starting to show, right? And it was. And, if memory serves correctly, Randall and Timms were having a really entertaining race, late in the going there. Clearly that's what kept them so close when the incident happened over there in 3 and 4. But wow, what a racy racetrack we had Saturday night to allow that kind of move to happen, and Ryan Timms to get right up there next to Chase Randall and have the side-by-side racing and such a thin cushion up at the top. Randall was up on top of it. He was trying to do his best to avoid it, but, everybody, needs to remember these sprint cars, they don't have mirrors in them. There's nobody in your ear telling you, door, bumper, clear, #podcast reference. Yeah, I mean, really, really good racing. Unfortunately, sometimes you're going to have incidences like that. But again, another post by John Randall. Right after all that happened, Sunday morning, they're cleaning up, they're putting the car back together, and John goes, "Oh, you'll have that in big time sprint car racing." And so, whether it's the Randall team, the Timms team, Brad Sweet, Brent Marks, Aaron Reitzel, whoever it is, right? Sprint car racing is incredibly hard at this level, and I'm always impressed and amazed by the men, the women, the families that do this, because they can get absolutely just kicked in the teeth on a night like that with Randall, and they just go back to rebuilding the car, putting together a new one, and they're going to be at Lucas Oil with us on Wednesday night. So, yeah, super, super big bummer, and boy, what could have been for Chase Randall. But you're right, they have the speed, and I don't think they're going to forget how to go faster with 3 races left to go in the year.
Yeah, some would say that went sour. That move that happened right there in 3 and 4. But something that wasn't sour this weekend, Brian, was Brenham Crouch, who has been extremely good over the last 10, 12 races here. Another top 5 finish on Friday, ending up in 5th. And then on Saturday, I mean, he's right there. He slid by Brent Marks at one point for a top 5. He ends up in the 6th position. I don't know if we could talk enough about what Brenham Crouch has been putting together here recently. The 19-year-old from Lubbock, Texas, has been taking the next step here recently, it seems like, and has been right there in the middle of the top 10 a lot more often than not here recently.
Yeah, back to what it's really Skagit. Skagit, he ran top 5 one night there, goes to Port Royal, starts on the pole, I believe. He runs podium there, picks up another top 5 at Lakeside, then 6th the last night. So really over the last month plus, they figured something out there on that 5 car, and with Brenham, that's really clicking as a unit. And it's awesome to see them have some good runs. Brenham's a great kid. The CJB5 team is a great guy, great camp of guys too. So it's exciting to see them run so well.
Certainly is. And the final thing we'll touch on here at Lakeside, and Brian mentioned this to me, I think it was Saturday morning, Tony, that there was history made with High Limit this weekend when Sammy Swindell made the show, the oldest feature starter in the history of High Limit Racing, and he did it both nights in a row, straight out of the heat race. It wasn't like it was an accident. It wasn't like he just kind of lucked into it. I mean, he ran 3rd in one of the heat races, and he, easily transferred through the one on Saturday as well. Sure, the features didn't go the way he was hoping for, but the first night in that 74 car as a teammate to Xavier Doney to make the show at the ripe old age of 69, 68 years old or whatever it was, Sammy Swindell, still able to show some speed, and he was fun to watch this weekend.
Yeah, he certainly was, and I got to talk to him Saturday afternoon before racing began, and he just talked about, originally it was kind of a consultation deal that the Schnee Lawson House team kind of brought him over, like, hey, what do you think of our program? How are we prepping the cars? What do you think of our organization? And then by the end of the summer here last weekend with us, it turned into an opportunity for Sammy to actually get behind the wheel of the car. Obviously it's great for the series to have a name like Swindell in the field. That's obviously really, really cool. And Sammy's a great wealth of knowledge to talk to. He'll forget more about sprint car racing than most of us will ever know. He was great to talk to. He was very complimentary of Xavier Doney's kind of, learning curve and how he's progressing as a driver. And also, not that anybody asked, or not that I really mean much in the grand scheme of things, but I spoke to Xavier Doney for a good 10, 12 minutes on Saturday afternoon, and I was also impressed by him. He gave a very candid, but I also thought a very fair opinion response to Clinton Boyles' remarks on the broadcast Friday night. And Xavier flat out said, hey, listen, I don't think it was completely my fault, but I restarted down on the bottom. I got tight. I could totally see how what happened to Clinton happened. And he agreed with what Tyler Courtney said in the booth with you, Chase, and that was, it was a racing deal. But Xavier Doney was 19 on Saturday with us. He turned 20 on Sunday. Happy late birthday to him. And it was cool to talk to Sammy Swindell, who, as Brian tweeted, takes over the record as the oldest starter with Kubota High Limit, and Xavier Doney, who's definitely closer to the younger side of that mark. And both of them were just really, really pleasant to talk to. And I loved Xavier and Sammy's breakdown of how that team's doing. So it was fun to talk about those guys.
Yeah, Xavier also able to grab that Hard Charger Award on Friday as well. Now, let's kind of switch gears here and talk about some races coming up. On Wednesday, it is the Roto-Rooter Midweek Series finale, and this is the point in time where Tyler Burnett, the producer of the show, should put the graphic up on the screen that Brian Walker put together here of these scenarios of who could win this thing, because really, I mean, it is a 4-horse race like we've never seen before. Rico leads by 6 over Thorson, 9 over Sweet, and 12 over Aaron Reitzel. Basically, if Rico runs first or second, he wraps up the $20,000 championship for the Roto-Rooter Midweek Series. But if he does not run in those positions, it could be an opportunity for Thorson, Sweet, and Reitzel to capitalize. Brian, this is going to be a lot of fun, especially going to Lucas Oil, where we have not seen in all 5 races with Highland, we have not seen a single one of them led by one driver. There's been one race had 4 leaders, one had 3, the rest had 2. I mean, Lucas Oil is the perfect place for this to end off on, and all 4 of these guys involved have been extremely fast there.
Yeah, I mean, what you just said there at the end is exactly what I was going to open with. I think Lucas Oil is the perfect place to end this 4-way title fight at. And I saw later in the show, are we supposed to make are we making predictions for the midweek title as well, Chase?
Yeah, I was going to wait for you to wrap up with your thoughts on that. If you want to, at the end of your thoughts here, just give us your championship favorite for the midweek series, and then we'll go to Tony after that.
Yeah, I think it's Tanner Thorson. I do not think Rico Abreu will win, which I am still holding to my Rico championship pick for the season. Come down to Texas. I think Thorson, what is it? We've had 4 or 5 different winners at Lucas Oil, right? And Thorson's still not one of them. I think that changes Wednesday night. I think Tanner wins the race. I think he wins the points. And then I think Rico wins the title come this weekend.
If he is able to do that, basically whoever wins the championship, or if they win the race, it's going to be like a $32,000 payout. if Thorson is able to get that done. It's 12,000 to win the race, 20,000 to win that championship. Tony, who are you looking at? Obviously, Rico, he's got a 6-point lead. That's not much. That's just 2 positions. It's 5 points from first to second and 4 points from second to third. So if Rico has any sort of mishap, and Thorson, as we've seen, has been incredible at Lucas Oil over the last 2 years, he could pounce right in there. But I mean, Brad Sweet finally got a win. There's momentum on his side, a podium and a win this weekend. Who are you taking for this midweek series title?
Man, I'll be honest with you. I'm glad you mentioned, because I saw the graphic that you made, Brian, about the top 4 going into it, but I didn't really zoom in on it till I'm looking at it here on Instagram till Chase said something. It's a great graphic where underneath each guy it shows you if they win, here's what the result is. If they run 4th, here's what has to happen to the other guys. So honestly, really, really cool graphic here, and what a great way to end this midweek championship. I mean, at a track as racy and as fun as Lucas Oil is, with such a great facility, and then with 4 stars of the series as close as they are, this is crazy. I mean, this is a really thorough breakdown, and it's cool to look at. I'm with you, honestly, Brian. I think Tanner is primed to do it, and I just look at the results from the last couple of races we had there earlier this summer. You kick things off with Tanner going 10th to 2nd on what I believe was the midweek series event that kicked off the next 2 nights. Then he goes 6th to 3rd on Friday night, and then he ends up falling from the pole position, but ending up in 4th on the final night of our 3-night deal out there. I think Thorson's in a really, really good spot, but I mean, going
Tony,
up...
that was when he was leading that race and spun out, the one that you just mentioned there, yeah.
Yep, I remember, because I was thinking to myself, that had to be the one where he started up front, and there was, I don't remember if that was a self-inflicted wound or if he ran into some traffic or what happened there. But yeah, it's either going to be Thorson or Reitzel, honestly, as good as both those guys have been there. Brad likes the shape of Lucas Oil. He mentioned that in an interview earlier this year. And, Rico's just kind of doing this right now, right? It's a lot of this with Rico. So, and you just think about it, $20,000, it doesn't go like terribly far in sprint car racing, as expensive as this sport is. But man, what a shot in the arm 20 grand would be to that Rod Gross Motorsports program that Tanner and Britton have really just built from the ground up. So yeah, I think Thorson is in a fantastic position to lock up that midweek deal this year. Thanks to Roto-Rooter for making that midweek series possible. Because if you like championships that are decided months and months before the end of the season, they're racing later on this weekend, I think. But this Roto-Rooter midweek deal, this is not for the faint of heart. This is a close championship, and it's not over, not by a mile. So I'm really excited to watch it.
So Brian and Tony are both going with Tanner, and I think I'm going to go with Tanner too. I made a video on my YouTube channel. He has the best average finish at Lucas Oil Speedway among those 4 drivers in the 5 races we've had there with High Limit Racing. So we've all got Thorson 6 points back. Basically, if he wins, Rico has to run 3rd. And then, after that, it gets a little bit more confusing. You could see the graphic on High Limit Racing social media pages. But we're all going to take Thorson, it sounds like, for the Roto-Rooter Midweek Series finale. Now, let's talk about the 2 nights at Texas Motor Speedway to finish out the 2025 High Limit Racing season. Of course, the Roto-Rooter Midweek Series finale counts towards this championship as well. It's 20 points between Rico and Rico and the Ridge & Sons Racing 87 for the owner's title, and now 30 points in the driver's points between Rico and Brad Sweet. And, what I thought was very interesting over the weekend, Brian, was your question to Brad Sweet in that after the Checkers interview when he mentioned, Rico's not sleeping tonight, Rico's thinking about it, Rico's thinking about where everybody else is down the racetrack. That was a very interesting interview. And then Tony and I kind of talked briefly with Rico after the race on Saturday, and he's like, no, I'm not thinking about any of that stuff. I'm fine. I'm sleeping perfectly fine. I'm not sure if I believe him or not, but definitely some interesting words from Brad Sweet as he tries to apply the pressure over the next 3 races.
Yeah, and I in after the Checkers too, I told Brad, I'm glad you said that, because all of us too experienced it. We were all with him when he won the title with High Limit, and then those Outlaw Championships as well. He said exactly that all those years. It was, we're not worried about points. We're winning races, blah, blah, blah. We're not thinking about gravel. We're not thinking about Rico, whoever it is, whoever your challenger is. So I was glad he said that and basically admitted he was lying for 6 years. That was good. But yeah, I mean, I think you have to be thinking those things, right? But, like I said earlier, I think Rico does get the job done come Texas. That's a track that's really good for him. We're going back. He won the Stockyard Stampede there in May. I think he has one of the best leaders in the sport with Tricky Ricky Warner helping him out. And so I think Rico will overcome whatever Brad Sweet says he is experiencing or is maybe trying to intimidate him with. Who knows? Yeah, it was a very good answer by Brad.
Yeah, it certainly was. And so it's going to be close, man. And if Reitzel is somehow able to take over this Owners' Championship, the banquet will be must-see television because we're going to have to redo the entire thing to figure out how to make that all work out with a different driver and Owners' titleist. But we'll wait and see if that it becomes the case or not. But Texas Motor Speedway, beautiful facility. We've had some good races there over the last couple of years there, Tony, with High Limit Racing. The anticipation is building. There's no doubt about it. You hear Reitzel even talking about it in his interviews on the podium this weekend at Lakeside as well. It's in the back of his mind. It's in the back of Rico's mind, of course, and Brad Sweet trying to keep that title streak alive and get that 7th one. You can just feel that this is getting bigger and bigger, and it's getting closer and closer to the end. The fans are getting behind it as well. They're picking their favorite, and so really excited to see who is the champion on Saturday night, because at this point, it's literally not going to come down until the last lap of the race.
That's exactly when it'll come down, Chase, is the very end of the Saturday night feature in Fort Worth, Texas. And I love it. I mean, yeah, am I a homer for High Limit? You're damn right I am, because, they happen to pay me. I happen to be on the broadcast, but I also think it's the most competitive, closely matched racing in national sprint car competition today, right? And the numbers speak for themselves. The championship in both High Limit Series, the Rotor Midweek, and the National Touring Championship Series. I mean, look how close it is. For it to come all the way down to the last night of racing in Fort Worth, that says all you need to know about is the racing competitive, is the racing close at High Limit. So I will say one thing, and I want to make sure that Tyler Burnett doesn't clip this and put it on social and make me look like a real jerk to the Rico Abreu Racing guys. I believe that Brian's, I don't know, it was you, Chase, who said, I don't know if I buy that Rico's, having a hard time sleeping, or maybe it was that you don't buy that he's all good and cool as a cucumber. Rico's probably somewhere in the middle. I think he gets lost and thought about it sometimes, but I don't exactly see it keeping him up at night, and he's, in a cold sweat thinking of Brad Sweet taking his championship. I will say this, though. I came over to the RAR pit several times over the weekend to talk about the championship points. And it was his crew who seemed, like they're already done hearing about it, right? Ricky Warner, he's done this. He's been there. He's got the T-shirt. Rick's not worried about this. It's Zach Middlebrooks. It's Brady Forbrook who are in this pressure cooker, I think. You guys can correct me if they've been involved in a program that's been in this kind of scenario before. I don't think those guys are going to make any mistakes. I don't think they're going to, they're not going to let it get to them. But I think the crew on the 24 are the ones that are being affected by this pressure more than anybody else over there. Rico's a pretty cool guy. He's from California. He's just like you, Chase, got tons of style, very cool. Nothing seems to bother him. But it's the crew that I think are definitely going to show signs of oh man, this is a big deal, right? And that just means they care. So, excited for Texas, excited to see how it all comes down. People have been talking about the banquet. I just found out, Chase, you and I are both wearing blue suits to the banquet. That's going to be a problem. I think you need to switch. Brian's got a blue suit. Mike's got a blue suit. I think somebody's going to have to wear a red suit or something to the awards. So, it'll be a great way to end the year. I really cannot wait to get out to Fort Worth.
Yeah, maybe we could find a Kubota orange suit to wear for the final, or for the banquet. That would be, Tony would look really good in bright orange suit. All right, well, I think that's all we've got here for. Huh?
Hey, oh. You're the one who wears the orange polo every chance you get. I don't even pack that thing most weekends anymore. I think if someone's going to be in an orange suit, it's probably going to be you.
I do look good in orange. That's definitely.
Who told you that?
Bowling Green Falcon fan.
My nickname back in high school was Orange Julius. I still don't know what exactly my connection is to Bowling Green as far as their college football team, but Go Blue Jackets tonight against the New Jersey Devils. The Avalanche, they already lost today. The Ducks already lost today. So the
Are you kidding me?
You're literally lying.
The Avalanche won.
You are literally lying that the Ducks didn't even play today. You sound like a typical Blue Jacket fan making up your own propaganda.
Hey, it's 2-1 here in this podcast room. Me and Tyler Burnett, Jackets fans, and Tony, your screen, it doesn't really say anything on there. That says that's the next game. I think I don't see what's going on.
No, they played today.
Tony's got to figure out if the Avalanche won today or not. He's not.
There we
sure.
go.
He had a busy there. Oh, 3-1. Okay, I must have missed that. So. All right, well, we're going to end this off before Tony starts showing us scores from baseball games that no one cares about. And thank you all for watching the High Limit Room. And we will talk to you guys again next week for a little wrap-up to the 2025 season with Kubota High Limit Racing.